Welcome into NewWayStories. This is a podcast about creativity. We value humor, self-reflection, so hopefully you're going to laugh and along the way feel inspired to use your creativity to make the world a better place. My name is Jesse Roberts. I am your host, and with me, as always, Darius Giles and our producer, Ben Salazar. And we might have a special guest pop in. We're not sure yet, so I won't say his name quite yet.
It rhymes with Schmossy the Schmosh Man for a special Christmas episode.
Oh, dude. Okay.
Unless he has schmelted.
Okay, about jokes that we can't go on too many rabbit trails because we're talking Star Wars today,
episode.
And it's a heavy episode. We have to be focused. However, I was hosting trivia and I had a theme, a category that was about like the pagan traditions that are in, like, you know, a lot of people are like, yeah, Christmas trees because we love Jesus. And you're like, well, I just want you to know that it is like from a pagan tradition. It's all fine. But so I did these like two things, and one of the questions was which emperor made Christianity legal, and it's Constantine. Now people can worship Jesus freely throughout the whole empire. And I said that's important to this category because when they started trying to convert pagans, they said, you know, hey, we like the traditions that you guys are doing. You can just do those and then celebrate like our Christmas. So you can do the Christmas tree, the wreath, the you know,
child sacrifice. As long as that child that you're sacrificing is in a manger.
You can do the wreath or the mistletoes. And I go, but now let me introduce you to someone special. His name is Santa Claus, and he comes down a chimney. No laugh at all. I was like, guys, this is a good joke. I think it's hard if you've got history. If you've got history buffs in the room, you really bait and switch them because you pulled them in with like good, legitimate history. Right.
And then went off the deep end with Santa Claus.
Being in a brewery, I always like to pretend like I'm about to start proselytizing. I always want to.
That's really funny.
I always want to lead it in like, I'm going to tell you about Jesus, my Lord and Savior. And then like, and then kind of switch it really quick.
Great bit.
Or just like really kind of in really quick, call them heathens. Something like that. You got a bunch of heathens in here. All right. I think I did have an Old Testament category one time and nobody cheered. And I go, whoa, bunch of heathens in here. It was pretty good. All right. But nonetheless, where was I at? We're doing Star Wars today, and we're not doing more rabbit trails. I'm making the commitment. Today, we're going to decide the definitive best Star Wars list, and we're talking the Skywalker, like 1 through 9. You know, as much as we love Rogue One and potentially Solo. So, here's the thing about Star Wars before we get into it. To me, there shouldn't be that much of a debate. Like, in my eyes, it's pretty clear which ones are the best and which ones are the worst. But then I started asking people from different generations, like, what their favorite Star Wars movie was. I asked this kid, so this was 2 years ago. He was a senior in high school. And I go, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? And he told me Revenge of the Sith. Episode 3 was his favorite Star Wars movie. And I was like, that is incorrect. How can that possibly be your favorite Star Wars movie? But as a kid, as like, you know, a 4 and 5 year old, when he's first introduced to Star Wars, this was the movie that he started watching, right? He started watching the prequels like as a kid. And I can relate to that because my first movie ever in the theaters was The Phantom Menace when I was 9 years old. So first Star Wars, how dare you, Ben? And I love The Phantom Menace, but everybody who are like Star Wars, you know, aficionados or whatever from the 70s and 80s, they're like, that movie's terrible. Jar Jar Binks sucks. And I was like, well, 9-year-old Jesse thinks Jar Jar Binks is the coolest character in the world. He's the best. And I know, critically speaking, it's wrong. Critically speaking, it's wrong. But to a 9-year-old, it doesn't care. I don't care. It's amazing. I think like Star Wars is kind of like, I think it's like SNL, right? Like, I don't know, people's favorites are kind of tied to their nostalgic era. Like, which ones were they growing up with as a kid? Our email, which, guys, NewWayStoriesPod@gmail.com. You can email stuff in. We got a whole bunch of people emailing their favorite Star Wars list. First emailer, the very first emailer. We should send him a prize or something. Denton. Yeah. We'll get to his list, but he says The Force Awakens is his number one, which again is an incorrect opinion, but it was the first one he saw in theaters. So like I can't really argue if this is the one that you love the most because it's the first Star Wars movie you saw in theaters. That would change your opinion on a movie.
I'm just saying,
right?
I think that's like the biggest part of the Star Wars discussion is there's like, we'll get into this, but there's crap in every trilogy.
Oh yeah.
There's three trilogies.
Star Wars
trilogies.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I thought you were saying there is every trilogy as a whole.
Every trilogy except for Lord of the Rings, which we've established.
Yeah.
Every trilogy has crap in it from Star Wars.
Yes.
So you just have to choose. You have to choose the crap that you'll tolerate. And typically we tolerate most the crap that we were the youngest when we experienced.
Preach.
So I just think this is my favorite part of this discussion is to see who will tolerate what BS.
Right. Yeah, totally. Okay. I teased a special guest. We're going to do live introduction and, I forgot the word that, what do you call it when you introduce each other? I've forgotten how to talk.
Introductions.
No, introduction. Whatever. I think I'm thinking of a different word. But
yeah, no, that's apparent.
Nonetheless.
I'm so sorry.
Nonetheless. Hey, we have a special guest on the New Way Stories pod. His name is Justice Portman.
Woo-woo.
We in our live studio audience is loving it. Oh, can you not hear?
No, he can't
Justice
hear.
Can't hear. We have a laugh track, or not a laugh track, an applause track.
No, we can't hear the buttons.
Know that people were applauding for you.
People were applauding.
We're excited.
The studio audience.
I'm stoked.
Yeah,
Definitely honored to be here.
Justice, I am Jesse Roberts. This is Ben. You obviously know Darius. I met you, I think, a few times when you were like 8. And then I don't think I've seen you since.
I basically look the same, so it's all good.
You did have a beard when you were 8. It was a very strange thing. Saw you, I was like, who is that very short man on the log roll at Silver Lake Camp? And they're like, no, that's Justice Portman. I'm like, oh, okay.
You're 8 years old and you have a beard.
Nice.
That was a very traumatic day for him. He had a girl he was wooing. He shaved. He's lived in a cave for what, like 20 years?
Yes, it was a lot of that is based off my childhood, that movie. So I actually don't even say it because there's so much hurt.
Heavily traumatic.
Yeah.
Ron Howard owes Justice a lot of money. Needless to say.
Keep it there.
Beautiful. Well, hey man, welcome to the podcast. Darius says that you are a nerd, and he meant that affectionately. Yes. So we're excited to have you in on this Star Wars podcast. All right, let's start with the goods.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through. Yeah, let's just the things that we love about Star Wars. And then we're going to talk about the things that are not so good about Star Wars. And then the things that are really not good about Star Wars.
Yep.
And then we're going to say our list, right? So,
okay.
I will start us off because I've already been talking so much. Might as well keep this train rolling. Obviously, A New Hope changed the game in cinema, right? Like, even if you're not a science fiction fan, I was thinking about this. Somebody told me that they didn't want to read my book because it's not their genre, which is a fair, like, I don't want to read your book. That's an easy out, by the way, for everybody listening. If you're like, man, I really am coming up. Like, can't come up with any more excuses to dodge Jesse's book. Just say it's not your genre and totally go with it.
I'm so sorry I can't come to your wedding. It's just not my genre.
It's just not my genre. So, yeah, but like it doesn't matter if you like science fiction or not. Like everybody has seen Star Wars, and the majority of people
or at least
love
know
Star
about
Wars, right? Or you at least know about it. It's a cultural icon. So I think that's incredible. I do really love like George Lucas continues to introduce it to new generations. He introduces it to there was a cartoon that followed like young female Jedis, and I am forgetting what it's called, but it wasn't based for me. Like it was made so fifth grade girls could get into Star Wars. Like I love that. Like that's incredible. And so you have fans from all across the board. Like whether you're young, old, boy, girl, doesn't matter. Like you like Star Wars. And yeah, man. And it birthed like some of the most incredible, like, I mean, Han Solo is one of the most iconic characters ever.
Yeah.
There's so much good stuff. I'll start there. Darius, why don't you pick up where I left off?
I mean, so I rewatched A New Hope this week, and A New Hope to me for the last 10 years has felt like one of the most boring movies I've ever watched. And probably because I watched it too many times as a kid that I actually got like burnt out on a little bit.
Sure.
As I was watching A New Hope this week, I was like, this movie is freaking genius.
Yeah.
The screenplay is actually amazing. The pacing of the movie is phenomenal. If you haven't watched A New Hope in a while, go back and watch it. Or maybe if you watch it too much, give it 6 months and then do a rewatch. Because it's like the script is amazing. And you also have to like be a little bit of like, you have to love movies to appreciate a little bit, because the script is good. It's also way different than a script would be for a blockbuster movie today.
Yeah.
So when I say the script is good, that is like a nuanced thing. I don't just mean like commercially, it's a great, like fun script. I mean, it's like it's really, really well written.
Well,
so you have to be able to appreciate a little bit.
We were kind of talking about this earlier, you and I last night. Like, when you watch a 70s or 60s like classic film, you're like, man, this pacing is so slow. But like compared to its contemporaries, it was not paced super slow,
that
right?
was
like
exciting.
The movies that come out today are like so tight and like like the action, everything is moving forward
Also,
at rapid speed.
Also, because it predates like the idea of a saga of movies.
Yeah.
There's no gimmick at the end to try to get you to come back.
Yeah.
The movie ends, like it wraps itself up. And at the end of A New Hope, you don't actually feel like there's going to be another movie. You feel like you watched a slice out of this massive galactic drama.
Yeah. You just got like a little insight into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Literally it's like you peered through the peephole into this universe, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that a ton, because we'll joke about the ending of the movie later.
Well,
the ending of the movie is wild.
We'll just tease that. We've got jokes about the ending of that movie. All right, Justice, hit me, man. What's some goods out of the Star Wars that you like?
I was telling Darius last night when he picked me up from the airport, I think we are at a weird spot. I was talking with one of my students. I'm a youth pastor now, and he's a 9th grader. And he was wearing a Star Wars shirt, and I was trying to connect because I was like, this is stuff we know.
It's an easy in.
And,
yeah,
exactly.
Should be anyway.
And so exactly. And it actually wasn't. He was wearing a shirt, and I was like, dude, all right, talk to me. What's your favorite? And he said episode 9. And I was like, oh, that's funny. But no, for real, what's your favorite?
I've been telling you, mother effers. These kids is out here being crazy.
And he's like, no, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
What?
And I was like, I don't even know how to like talk
Suck
to you.
Suck it, Ben.
I love a 9th grader being like, man, it was like Citizen Kane, Casablanca, and then episode 9. Like, just surplants it. Like,
yeah.
So we know his opinion doesn't matter, obviously. But
Right,
it was just
right.
like we talked about this because like episode 3 holds a special place in my heart, not because it's a cinematic masterpiece,
Sure.
but I saw that with my dad when it came out in theaters. Was the first Star Wars of the original 6 that I got to see in theaters.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace.
So for me, it's that's a special movie, even though it's a bad movie. And I think that every time I watch it.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
The generations are different. for sure.
Well, but I love that you can watch it and be like, "This is a bad movie. I love this."
I think that there's hope that there's a new hope that ninth grader, in 10 years will say, man, episode 9, this movie sucks. But like,
Yeah.
it's so much fun. Like, I love it because
That is what
I
will
was a
happen.
kid when it came out and he like
That
started.
is what will happen.
It's like trying to introduce a girlfriend that your friends don't like. You're like, guys, come check this out. She's
awesome.
really great. Like, you just didn't like meet her like how I met her, and they're like, dude, this movie sucks.
Bro, she sits in the corner like an owl. She only eats Triscuits. She only eats the edges and she leaves the center of them on the floor. Bro, but you should see the way she plays pool. She does it backwards. She holds a stick backwards. You're not making a good case.
You just need to look into her eyes. She's got cross eyes. Man. I can't.
Never.
I literally can.
I swear, the narrative that she pulls out of nowhere. That's an episode 9 joke. All right, Ben, hit us with some goods.
I think the only good, consistent thing out of every Star Wars movie, I guess the main 9, is John Williams.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's great. What? Even if you don't like the prequels, right? I think
Great music.
It might have been one of the emails. Maybe Megan's email brings up the Duel of Fates.
Yeah.
That lightsaber sequence and like the sound, dude, unreal.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a real Star Wars fan, if you just go,
Yeah.
you just get chills.
I wish I was
definitely
gonna
what you
say.
listen to
I
in
wish
the
I was
backseat.
allowed to sing on the podcast because I want to come in with some verb.
Completely, completely out of key. Often.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I can't help it. I can't help it. Sure, it's terrible,
Full cosplay.
but you
Yes.
know what I'm talking
Justice,
about.
me and Jesse both have gotten in some serious hot water with Ben for singing on the podcast. Neither of us, Jesse or I, should sing. Jesse has got some kind of full-on
Disability?
blacklist.
Oh,
he's
sorry.
Ben will cut out Jesse singing from the podcast. So
It's a fun game we do that I sing off key and wrong lyrics, and Ben still tries to guess what the
Jesse's
what the
Newman-
song is.
Jesse's Newman in Space Jam when he comes in Space Jam and he goes, "Sure, I'm fat, but I'm slow." That's Jesse. Yeah, I'm off key, but
I don't
I'm
know
off
the
beat
words
too.
either. All right, Ben, you gotta have more goods. You gotta have more goods than John Williams. Although I agree, if we're talking Apex Mountain for a consistent greatness,
Even in the bad movies, there are some phenomenal scores.
Can I tell you? I think Williams is 93 years old, and I kind of think about it on a regular basis, and I'm just kind of waiting for when I pull up my pull up the internet. It's like John Williams gone. Like,
him and Ridley Scott are gonna die like those two from The Notebook.
oh, hand in hand. That would make it all better, I think.
In the same hospital room.
Yeah.
John Williams is gonna have a moment of clarity. He's gonna start.
Are you
humming
talking
the
murder
score for
suicide?
Gladiator
Is that what you're
3.
saying? No.
Yeah, well, Russell Crowe is gonna come in and murder them both. Euthanize them.
What a turn. He's the one that pulls the plug. Oh my God.
name is
I would be so
Maximus Decimus Meridius.
single tear from Williams.
Yeah.
I don't think he did Gladiator, but
No, he didn't. I just wanted to include Russell Crowe. I actually don't think that Ridley Scott and John Williams have worked together.
Let's see.
Ben, that's Ben's job for being a producer.
Did John Williams do the original Alien?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think they've actually worked together. Sorry, they're just both old.
They're
That's all.
iconic.
Yeah.
It would be.
Morgan Freeman's gonna come in. And
I mean,
laugh
it
at
would
them
be
as they
like
die.
if two people were to
I'm
die
going to live forever.
together, it would be Williams and Steven Spielberg. I mean, that would be.
Yeah,
that would be
that
the.
would be nuts.
That'd be the correct
That would be the Notebook
way
moment.
to go. Yeah.
Where like they both have forgotten each other. Williams has a moment of clarity. He starts. I can't say anything. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Yes.
John Williams, like the turn is that Steven Spielberg is losing his memory and John Williams is playing music. John Williams music from the London Symphony or whatever.
And then Steven Spielberg looks over at him and goes, Hans? And then they both die.
All right, guys, no rabbit
We'd all
trails.
pay money to watch that.
Yeah,
No
100%.
rabbit trails.
Watch it, Jeff.
Other good
back
things.
on track.
Other good things about Star Wars.
I love
Ben.
the world building. I love that. Like even like the prequels, it gets a little much, but it's still like every world is pretty unique.
Yeah.
And then what I also love about the original trilogy, when they would piece together like sets and robots, it's just random junk and normal things.
Yeah.
Turned into a space. Like a guy in Empire is just running around with an ice cream maker, like spray painted white.
Yeah.
And you're like, what sort of technology is this?
One of my favorite things in Phantom Menace, and I spotted it off even when I was like a 9-year-old, is there's the game with you play catch with a wiffle ball, and you have two like round things. I don't even know what that game is called.
Lacrosse-ish type of thing.
One of those is hanging up in Anakin's room, spray painted silver.
I knew
and you're
exactly.
One of the scoops.
I have that. There's a connection.
That's so sick.
No, totally.
Yeah. It's so funny because Star Wars, my other good, was like how much was created and invented and continues, like it's a part of Lucas's vision, is that he's like, I want to do this, but the technology like doesn't exist. And if you haven't watched the Light and Magic like docuseries on Disney Plus, you should watch it. Like they created so much stuff to make Star Wars possible, and then continued to create, to make the technology better and better and like be incredibly innovative. But then like what Ben was saying, they like used all of their energy on like creating new cameras, and they're like, oh crap, we have to do a set piece. And then they find what's in their kids' like
Or in the
gym bag.
case of the prequel trilogies, oh crap, we have to make believable dialogue. Or in the case of the sequel trilogies, oh crap, we have to have a believable plot.
It's just,
I will say,
go for it.
if we're talking about a thread, like Ben's, I wasn't thinking along those lines, but if we're talking about a thread that that is a great thread, whether each movie is hateable or not, every trilogy and every movie that's part of every trilogy has the thread that's the most important to me, which is the story of redemption of a character who is lost, who has to be loved and seen to be changed.
Yeah.
And has to partake in that, has to be a part of that redemption and transformation process. And also the arc of self-discovery of what does it mean to learn who you are and to become something that is deeper and more meaningful than what you perceive or what others perceive.
Yeah.
And those two things are the things that actually give me the chills and make me emotional about Star Wars as a whole.
It's almost like set up in like a fairy tale kind of structure, not overall, but the moral side of it is it's so basic, but it works so perfectly. It's like, it's the Force. There's a light and a dark side. Yeah. And if you're bad, you're on the dark side. If you're good, you're on the light side. And it's just like, it's so basic, but like those simple metaphors work so beautifully in stories. And I love it.
Yes. But also the uniqueness of the villains are people. Like Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty, she's just bad guy, right? Like Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. He's just an emissary of the devil, essentially. works for Morgoth. Like the classic archetype of a fairy tale is there's good and evil, which is obviously still true in Star Wars. But in Star Wars, there's also this person is redeemable.
It's character driven.
It's
and
very,
there's
very
a potential of restoration. I like it.
Yeah.
Justice, one more thing to add. Unless you don't have it.
No, I was just kind of listening, and you know what's important to a person when they can talk about it deeply.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. No, it's I think what speaks to us biggest out of the Star Wars movies is usually what we see in ourselves. So for Darius, I'm sure that's like a big part of it. It's like feeling unredeemable and then seeing people who you would mark as evil then still turn to good is a big deal for him. I think for me, I don't know. I always kind of connected with Obi-Wan Kenobi, kind of that older brother kind of figure.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's something that's always been consistent in those movies, actually, is kind of Kenobi's consistency through all 9 of them.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Actually,
so I would say that's probably,
I would say, Obi-Wan's character, even with like in the prequels, even those are not good movies, Ewan McGregor kills it.
He's doing what he can with what he's got.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's making it work, bro. He's pulling diamonds out of the rough.
I was Ewan McGregor as a whole in those movies. If you start to like zoom in on some of the individual dialogue, it's not his fault. It's not
in
his
Attack
fault.
in Attack of the Clones specifically. He could have laughed like a human being. He could have given us that. There in the elevator, and Anakin tells a joke, and he goes.
I mean, at a certain
he's
point,
a serial killer now.
This is a good transition into the bads, right?
Yeah.
We probably should have broken these up by trilogy. Let's do that now.
So fun.
Let's do that now. The bads. Let's start with. I don't know. Let's just go in order. Let's start with the prequel.
Okay.
Prequel, gotcha. Because we're talking about Obi-Wan's terrible laugh. There is, and it's not good directing. It's not good dialogue and not good directing for like individual scenes. Like we're all on board that George Lucas is a master storyteller, right? Like
visionary.
His
like
concepts are out of this world. Star Wars. But the individual scenes of directing people and stuff, like I think it's now I'm blanking if it's Attack of the Clones or the third one, but when he's like, telling Anakin to go and like have his moment, and he's like, he like kind of serves it up for him on I'm not even doing a good job of explaining it. It's almost like George Lucas is directing me in this moment.
Day with the politicians.
Yeah, that's the one. It is bad. That is like, and it's hard for me because I don't know why George Lucas didn't like watch it and be like, oh, that was bad. Like can I get like a different writer in here just to give him some dialogue, or even just be like, hey, Ewan, this is kind of what I want you to say. Why don't you just like say it naturally? Like do something like that.
There's so much of that in the prequels. It's like if you had just let the actors
act.
Well, and specifically, like, there's certain directors, like you're not going to ad lib on a Wes Anderson movie.
No.
Right. You go into a Wes Anderson movie, you read the dialogue, you say the dialogue, or you find a different job. But like George Lucas could have let the actors reword the lines.
Yeah.
Like you're just saying, that is probably 90% of the terrible stuff from the prequels.
Yeah.
In Revenge, I was just watching every interaction between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman is so bad. Yeah. When he wakes up from the nightmare, it should be like such a deep, powerful, emotional scene. Yeah. I get teared up watching the scene because of the context.
Absolutely.
This guy's lost his mother. He's terrified that he's going to he only has 2 people that he's ever loved. Anyway, he's afraid that exactly how he lost his mother, he's going to lose his wife and his child.
Again, it's a beautiful idea.
It should be like the acting should just hit you in the gut. And instead, Natalie Portman decides to lean into his chest and go, hold me like you did on Naboo, when all we had was our love and nothing else for which we had cared about. And it's like, dude,
like we were hiding you from assassins.
Poorly.
We were hiding you from assassins. What are you talking about? There was nothing we had to worry about.
It's like George Lucas doesn't like it's such a weird like a high school like what high schoolers think love is like. Like Romeo and Juliet. Like that dialogue and all, they're like, it's so over the top. It's not real, and I never believed it once.
Yep.
Go for it, Justice.
In the sense of high schoolers, it's similar to like they got away with just looking good and not actually having the deep, like no personality. It was just like, I'm attractive. I'm an 8 or 9, 10. And then like go do something. You're like, I don't know how to do it. They like faked it to the top.
That's like the early inspiration for Twilight. They were like, we just put like beautiful people like together, and then it's Kristen like vampires, werewolves, done. Movie made, millions.
One thing to what Darius
Hayden Christensen also is a smoke show in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I forgot how handsome that dude was.
We should have said it in the goods. We should have said it in the goods.
And I was like, this dude has a perfect jaw. Where did they find this guy? Obviously not from an acting school. All love to Hayden. I'm sure he'll absolutely never hear about this podcast, but I do love Hayden Christensen.
At Hayden Christensen. We'd love to have you
he's
on.
always watching me. I'm actually not allowed to do anything without his permission.
Ben, what were you saying?
Well, you said if they would have just let the actors like kind of do their thing. I remember Carrie Fisher talking about like the first script. Some of the dialogue was still a bit rough then. And even as like an 18, 19-year-old, she's like, George, you can't have people say this type of stuff. And so like
interesting.
She would like have like change some of the lines like, no, we should say it like this. And so I think she even helped with the kind of the other two movies too. But I think after the success of the 3, when he did the prequels, they were like, all right, you know what? You can do whatever you want. And so that's what
it feels like.
And no one was able to tell him otherwise.
Well, and I think I've talked about this before, but he made American Graffiti, which is an incredible movie, again, innovative in its own right. But, he directs it, and he came out with the first screenplay, and they're like, yeah, this is like the story is good, right? But then they had to give it to like 2 professional screenplay writers, and they, in the interview, they're like, yeah, we got the first draft from George, and it was like rough. There was quite a bit that we had to do to like make it a good movie, and like that needed to happen on every.
That's just such a weird thing to me, and we're never going to know the answer. But I don't understand why George Lucas has had that feedback for his entire life, and then when he went to make the prequels, just thought, that feedback doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah, no, I wonder if it is a little bit of an ego trip where it's just like, I've made the most successful franchise ever. Like, you're not gonna like, I don't know, or maybe he thinks it's good, right?
I honestly think that's how he thinks love is. Like
one night at Matt Welk's house, like it was, I was in tears laughing because we were doing impressions of George Lucas on set. Where everybody else is like, ooh, that wasn't good. But George Lucas is like, oh, course, like, say it. I've got goosebumps. Like, Hayden, keep going.
The best is Hayden is like Hayden and Natalie get done with a scene where they're like rolling in the grass on Naboo, right? And it's so, or, like, I hate sand.
You're right.
It's rough. Course,
it's everywhere.
It gets everywhere. Cut. George Lucas goes, Hayden, Natalie, can you come here real quick? I think you guys know what I'm going to say. Yeah, that was phenomenal. Don't change a thing. They're like, don't you think it was a little bit cheesy? Whatever you did, turn it up, double it for the next movie. And then that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they go, okay, George, it's your movie.
Okay, Giorgio.
Could be a hot take here.
Yeah.
A lot of times geniuses see the world differently.
Ooh.
That's true.
Now, I have a few friends that are geniuses that the world might say are on the spectrum.
Okay.
And sometimes there can be a hard time with dialogue
That's
and
true.
understanding how people talk. So I'm just
No, dude, that's good.
presenting this idea.
I like it.
What if the reason the dialogue is so tough is because he doesn't actually know how to connect with people?
Yep.
He just is a good storyteller.
Well, Darius,
It's extremely insightful.
you said this a while ago when we were talking about this. You said that like we are all those actors are just pawns in like George Lucas's like world. Like he doesn't like, they're not people to him. They're just like,
Yeah. Yeah, legit.
like how can I use this to, you know?
It's true. It's true.
Further my vision.
Yeah. I do think that's what you said, Justice. Again, we'll never know, but like whether George Lucas is on the spectrum or not. But like that.
what I'm saying, but yeah.
No. I'm not saying that you're saying he was on the, but also even like the idea that that's crazy to me is funny because I've taken autism tests and
It passed it with flying colors.
the spectrum is big.
It's a large spectrum.
And I have a lot of autistic tendencies. And I will just say, like, it's not that weird to say, like, Elon Musk is autistic.
Totally.
Tom Hanks is autistic. So, like, the idea, regardless of autism or not, the idea that George Lucas just has a hard time with human connection is, like, extremely insightful because that is what we were talking about a long time ago, Ben, is he cares about the story and the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he knows where he wants the story to go and what the impact of the story is.
Well,
just not how people work.
I am not about to compare myself with George Lucas, but in the large space story that I wrote, I like care about humor, right? And I think it shows. Like I think there's
It's a funny
jokes
book.
throughout, but I like in the hard science fiction world where they're like, well, how are these people jumping from planet to planet? And I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't
really
matter.
doesn't matter.
I wrote a line that was like, one year there was no planes, and then like 10 years later, Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic. Like, if this is 1,000 years in the future, like, who knows what, like,
Yeah, dude.
you know, and that's all you need
discover
to
an
know.
element
Like,
on Mars that we don't know about, and that element allows them to like time hop.
I don't even want to like theorize what is possible.
It literally
I just
doesn't matter.
and that's another brilliant thing actually about Star Wars is that I know I'm going back to good here, but he just like throws you into the story in A New Hope. There's no worthless exposition. You're there. You believe that the world is happening, and you're not second guessing. You know, whatever, jumping from planet to planet. It's just
You just
Well, it's
believe
also
it.
It's great.
interesting.
Yeah.
George Lucas before Star Wars, I don't think that George Lucas was like a big sci-fi nerd. And I think a lot of sci-fi nerds thought when Star Wars happened that it was like for their tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they shouldn't enjoy it, but just Star Wars is not for sci-fi nerds. George Lucas is not a sci-fi
He's just
nerd.
a film nerd.
He's just a storyteller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think actually kind of to be funny, made it a sci-fi movie. Like honestly, essentially used sci-fi because he was like, oh, what's a medium that's not good? Oh, sci-fi is a not good medium. I'll use sci-fi and I'll do something innovative by making sci-fi that people actually, that's like good.
It's actually a really great point because like before Star Wars, you had like 2001: A Space Odyssey that was kind of one of the only accepted sci-fi.
Yeah.
But like before that, it was sci-fi and horror were these like campy like genres that nobody took serious, right? You got like Buck Rogers or whatever, like terrible TV shows that is for children, right? But Star Wars kind of bridged the gap that you're like, oh, you can tell legitimate stories through sci-fi and fantasy, which is really cool.
So, I mean, nothing here that we haven't talked about before on this podcast, not with Justice, obviously, but on this podcast. The acting and the dialogue is just bad, and especially in Attack and in Revenge.
Yes.
And so I still love Attack and Revenge. I love all 9. Like I made my list, which we'll get into later, I think, but I love all of them.
Yeah.
I think they're all fun and great. Attack and Revenge are very low on my list.
Sure.
Because the acting, I just love acting. I love good acting. And when I see bad acting, it's the worst possible. It probably is the worst possible movie experience for me.
Yeah. I will say
Like an
on
autism tendency.
Yeah.
I won't share with you what my autism scores were because I didn't talk to a doctor about it, but they weren't promising.
It was a BuzzFeed quiz.
No, there's a
Positive.
test. There's a test online that like everybody took, and
Everybody? I don't think I'm taking this.
I didn't take it.
sorry, yeah.
There's a
test
spectrum of
online
people that
was,
took
like,
the test.
It was a test that was. It was a test that was made by like a PhD, and it was like viral this last year. So
I
again, I haven't talked to a
probably,
doctor about it, so I don't need answers on that. But
That'll be the next
Special
step.
scholarships I can get.
you can go to MIT for free if you have autism.
Well, yeah, I should probably take this test. It might
I'll
give me
send it to
some
you. It's
fun
fun.
insights.
Yeah.
One bad thing about the original is
Watch it.
So
the
we're moving on.
lightsaber fights are pretty weak. And
That's not the point, though.
outside, I know. Hey, I know.
Ben, we're going to hear you out when
I
we get
know.
to the sequel trilogy.
And outside of kung fu films in the 70s, all choreography was terrible.
Yeah.
There's not any good action. I watched this movie that Tarantino was like, this is the best 70s movie ever. And it's truly terrible action. Really bad stuff. But good movie, right? Now, episode 1, awesome lightsaber fight scenes. I think we get a little crazy in Attack of the Clones, a little too far. But the first one, it's like, oh, these great Jedi masters,
Yeah.
You're like, all right, are we 8-year-olds
Bro,
pretending to sword fight?
Obi-Wan, obviously the technology wasn't there, but Obi-Wan in
He was
A
also
New
an old
Hope
man.
with
Totally.
this,
Right.
literally, he does a thrust at one point. And he goes it looks like he's trying to juke somebody. He goes,
Yeah. I don't think they brought on a fencing
face.
coordinator or a
think
pirate
so.
to help things out at all.
They
But
brought a 7-year-old boy, and he was like, do it with both hands.
yeah, you don't want to lose
Make sure you
control
hold it with both hands because then you'll be stronger.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hit him in the quoke, and then the quoke disappears.
So in this,
Wait. Oh, cut. Make him step on the empty clothes. He stomp on them where would it go?
He's unsure.
wait, did this guy direct? Are you saying this 7-year-old directed Star Wars?
He's a consultant. He's a consultant. He also helped with the dialogue.
That's so funny. Gosh. The other thing that's a practical is Luke throws the rope cable and then swings him and Leia across. If you look, he wraps, you know what I'm talking about in A New Hope?
Yeah.
He wraps the cable around his hand. This thin cheese wire.
Yeah.
Literally, it would have just sliced his hand.
He's cutting
in half.
completely through. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're hoping
Make
that
sure
he
he wrapped
was
a rope
using the
around.
force. We're hoping he was using the force unwittingly,
Yeah,
and
he
it just
must
was
have been.
helping.
Yeah.
All right, what's some
Yeah.
other negatives for the original 4, 5, and 6? I mean, these are
I know this is for the original. So for 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6. Yeah, we've moved
Sorry.
on.
Okay, my bad.
Luke is a bit, and I know Mark is playing that way, and that's what George or whoever told him to. But he can get a bit annoying in A New
100%.
Hope.
Yeah.
He's kind of you're young 18-year-old. You have big visions, but he comes off whiny sometimes.
Well, and definitely, if we're talking good acting, Mark Hamill has not quite found it yet.
Yep.
In A New
He's
Hope.
still working on it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Justo.
That's it.
A New Hope is a masterpiece. So I'm A New Hope is a masterpiece. The timeline of Luke and Obi-Wan's relationship makes zero sense. At the end of the movie, which is about 24 hours after the beginning of the movie, Leia walks up to Luke and right before they're going to go fight the Death Star. And she goes, she's like, hey, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I only wish old Ben were still here. It's like, you just met him yesterday. Yeah, what do you need him around for?
He was like this crazy old guy in your neighborhood.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then for the rest of, it's
a great point. When we were talking about this, it's funny to me that it's still old Ben, but I guess he did drop crazy old Ben. Like, he did drop crazy. So there's some familiarity there.
Doesn't even know his real name. Like, literally, he doesn't even call him by his real name.
And also
calls him by his cover name.
Yeah.
What's in the Blue Harvest, the Family Guy thing? He goes, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if they mean old Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Like, there's a bunch of Kenobis around. Yeah. That's super funny.
Also, he also doesn't acknowledge that his aunt and uncle were like burned alive.
Totally.
Yeah, he doesn't shed a tear. What he does is he goes outside to the sun sets before that.
Yeah, he
has a bit of a somber moment in the moment, but
he kicks the dust in frustration. Gosh dang it.
He goes, well,
now I won't have to stay around for another season.
Guess I can join the rebellion.
Yeah, dude, seriously. Yeah. I'll say massive plus from the original, from 4, 5, and 6. Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice is so great. One of the most iconic voices of all time.
You're talking Sir Alec Guinness? Yeah. Yeah. Strong stuff.
Then people always walk in a straight line to hide the number. Well, everything he says sounds so great.
I think that's the tough thing with the prequels is that Obi-Wan, like George obviously wants Ewan McGregor to try to hit that sort of cadence, and it just doesn't work on a young person. If you're an old wise sage, like, do it. You can talk like that all day. Yep. But if you're like jumping in and out of action and trying to make jokes, it doesn't work. This is not a cadence that you can make jokes with.
Hello there.
Because it's like practically transatlantic. It's like practically that old timey radio voice, but a little bit British. And there's no way to get anybody in the 20th century to not associate the transatlantic accent with, hey, see here, we're going to give you quite a show. Like, that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts on the prequels? We're going to jump into the latter quels.
I have to say, and I've said this multiple times this weekend, Empire Strikes Back, everything that happens with Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon between Hoth and the Sky City in Empire Strikes Back is the most boring crap I've ever seen in a movie. I wish I could cut all of that down to like 60 seconds. I hate it. I hate it. And I love Empire Strikes Back. I don't want to
say anything with broad strokes, but I hate it.
It's the worst.
All right.
Ben, okay.
We're just getting started, Darius. We're just getting started.
Sequel trilogies. 7, 8, 9. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9.
That's true.
Or were you just talking bad?
Well, we talked about the good. We talked about the bad. Yeah. Now we're talking about the cringies.
We're hitting, touche. I wasn't setting it up like that, but we can talk about the cringe factor. Cringe factor in original trilogy is some of like Luke's acting. And some of the other acting surrounding it, not great.
Sibling kiss, that's a cringe for me.
Yeah, sure. I feel like that. I feel like that wasn't.
What did he say?
He said that was one of my pluses.
I forgot to mention it in the good.
Yeah.
I don't have sisters.
Sequels or prequels, cringies, obviously.
The acting
and the dialogue. Like I watched Revenge this last week, and I can't believe how many times they made a transition of an action sequence with a terrible joke to end the thing. Like they like crash land, and Obi-Wan is like, well, that was a smooth landing.
And
You're
he's
like,
another happy land.
another happy landing. You're like, what are you doing?
It is so weird that Obi-Wan, like, old Ben Kenobi is not a funny guy.
They like they left the formula. Like that's in the original. You don't do those sorts of lines. Like Han is funny. Han is sarcastic and funny.
He's sarcastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it.
There's not like a bunch of
nobody
dad
else
jokes
is,
all the time.
Nobody else is funny. In the prequels, everybody tries to get in on the joke making, especially Obi-Wan. And
God, the cringe for me as a kid, Yoda fighting was so sick. As an adult, I wish that Yoda had stayed in his chair.
Yeah.
CG Yoda is unsettling. And CG R2D2 is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. And I mean that like, I don't mean that like to be mean. I mean, like R2D2 in 4, 5, and 6 is so endearing.
yeah,
I forget, like, you feel like he has like real emotions.
yeah.
And then watching him be fully CG in episode 7, 6 is heartbreaking to me. He just because he looks so fake. It just feels so fake.
You mean 3?
Episode 3.
Oh, sorry, episode 3.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I do think that it's a mistake, and this actually is another level of the cringy for me is going back and adding CG stuff.
Oh my gosh!
Like you go into the original trilogy, and there's added. I feel so bad for the dude who played Darth Vader behind the mask. At the end of Return, it's his one time to be on camera.
Yeah.
And as soon as Phantom Menace happened, they like, or not Phantom Menace, as soon as Attack of the Clones happened, they replaced him with Hayden Christensen. It's like, this was my one moment. Like, James Earl Jones gets to voice it. I get it. He's got a better voice than me, but this is my one time to be on camera. And they go, nah.
Which is weird though, because he's not the actual suit actor either though.
No, there's 3 different guys.
3 different guys.
The face actor is only there for those 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And does he not get royalties anymore?
No, he doesn't get
He goes,
anything.
well,
That's
sorry, man.
really funny.
You're out. He goes, well, I can't be retired anymore.
Yeah.
I had and then so Cringy's
Back to the Comic-Cons for you.
Cringy's on
I did
the guy who plays Darth Vader as the Force Ghost. We couldn't get James Earl Jones. We couldn't get Hayden.
Imagine cuts the blue James Earl Jones.
The plot, you mentioned it. The plot in the first or the latest 3, 7, 8, 9 is they're pulling stuff out of thin air. They're not setting it up. It's not written with a single vision ever.
And they say
4, 5, and 6 wasn't either, but 4, 5, and 6 at least had George Lucas to tie it together.
But when 5 was released, I think that it was like, okay, now we're gonna get 2 more out of this, and you can like write the arc.
5 and 6 fit together really well. Frankly, 4 doesn't fit that well with 5 and 6.
I feel that.
But 7, 8, 9 just feel like 3 separate movies.
oh, it's so different.
3 separate
With
movies.
the exception of Rey and Kylo. Other than that, they feel like 3 completely different visions, which is jarring.
Yeah.
My biggest thing about the last one is that I thought that they were working this storyline quite nicely, that it didn't matter where you came from.
I love that.
It didn't matter. Like, you didn't have to have Skywalker blood to be special. And I was like, you're not executing things well. Like was it The Last Jedi? They did not execute much well in that movie, right?
No.
But the ideas that they were setting up, I was like, I really like these ideas, right?
Yes.
You get the little kid at the end that uses the Force to grab the broom. I'm like, boom, I love that. And then the next one is like, oh yeah, I'm not a Skywalker, but I'm Palpatine's granddaughter. You're like, what? What? Why would we go back to that when we've set up a different idea?
Dumbest thing.
And we have not hinted at all that Palpatine is alive and on a Sith planet somewhere, like creating an army. It was just like, what do we do? How do we end this movie? Like, I know. Let's have Poe just give us full exposition.
The best line in Star Wars history. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow. That was the beginning of the meeting, and that's how they ended. They go, all right, creative writing, somehow Palpatine returns. What are we going to do? And they go, you know what? Let's just say somehow Palpatine returns.
He just did.
Brutal. Really, all right, other cringes.
They really should have just left Palpatine out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was dead. He was thrown down the infinite hole. It was okay.
And it exploded. He fell and it exploded.
It was
at
totally
the
fine.
Yeah. It was very like this guy is dead.
They didn't even give you the flashback like they do in what is it, Two Towers or Return of the King when he falls down fighting the demon. You're like, well, okay, I guess
you explained how he's alive.
Right. They didn't have Palpatine falling down and he goes, oh, throw a little landmine right now and it'll look like I blew up. So terrible.
That is like somebody should get a hold of that and make a video like a robot chicken or something of how did Palpatine survive.
Palpatine just like smirks at the end. Not gone yet.
Throwing a ninja bomb, a smoke bomb at the bottom of the shaft.
Somehow I'll show up in 2 more movies.
Yeah.
What are some other cringe stuff for you?
So I just rewatched The Last Jedi, and I was more forgiving of it before. I hadn't watched it since it came out, and the Rose and Finn stuff is. Which I feel bad for Finn. I forget John Boyega, because I thought it was pretty cool having like a dessert, like a stormtrooper go AWOL.
That's a cool idea.
Cool idea
for sure.
And then he becomes an absolute joke in the next 2 movies.
Yeah,
which sucks because I was like super on board with him, and even when
they definitely hint that I feel like they hint in episode 7 that he's like Force sensitive.
Yeah.
And that is part of like the extended current Star Wars lore is that Finn is Force sensitive.
I don't even love that. Like I just liked him. I just liked him being like, you know what? I was cool on the wrong side, and now I'm gonna fight for good.
But it would have made sense if they kept with the storyline of it doesn't matter what bloodline you're from. Like you can be Force sensitive because in the prequels, like. Or not in the prequels, in the original, we only see the Skywalkers like being, Force sensitive. Obviously, in the prequels, you have the full Jedi Council, but like, it would have been cool to have 3 nobodies teaming up that are all Force sensitive. Like I think that would have been a cool storyline.
Yeah, and then even like this movie, Last Jedi, and then also Glass Onion made me not like Rian Johnson as like a writer, because I realized that in this movie, he wrote 2 brand new characters and made them the heroes. So he wrote Rose, and then she saved Finn, so she was a hero, and then they had the most awkward kiss. Oof. And then he wrote in Admiral Hodo, the purple hair lady, made her the hero who does the dumbest
Jurassic Park, it's no good.
The dumbest light speed whatever bombing.
Use it as a weapon,
Yeah, and so like he tried to all these characters you like from the 7th movie, screw them. My characters are gonna be the heroes now.
I just don't understand why. And it's like a business, so I'm sure there's probably business related reasons why they didn't have Abrams do the trilogy, but Rian Johnson was just 100% the wrong choice.
From what I have heard, Abrams like wanted 3 different like storytellers to like kind of take it on, and then realized his mistake and like tried to salvage it, but I don't know how true that is. I
respect that too. Here's the
thing,
you try something and it doesn't go well.
Here's the thing though with Rian Johnson, like Brick with Joseph Gordon-Levitt is awesome, super cool indie film. Looper with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis is one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. It's so cool. So like I think Rian Johnson has the potential to do it. It just wasn't executed well.
No, and also I was with Mark Hamill, like all these interviews, and it's watching them back now. It's like hard to watch, and you can slowly see all the actors that were involved, like from The Last Jedi, being like, when they were being interviewed, they're like, oh yeah, it was yep, we totally loved it. And then The Rise of Skywalker, they were just like putting on a fake smile because it was just like not fun to make, and they could tell it was going downhill. But Mark Hamill, the whole time, he's like, he was being it's so crazy. I didn't realize this, like during, he was like, guys, I do not agree with this movie at all. Like fundamentally, in all the press junkets, he's like, this does not feel like Luke Skywalker to me. And we're like, oh, it's all right. We'll go see it.
Crazy Mark.
Oh, it's like, yeah.
But I will say though, like, I know that that's a big issue with Star Wars fans, and I've heard a lot of Star Wars fans bring up this specifically as like a reason they hate the sequel trilogy is, well, but Mark Hamill disagreed. And I'm like, Mark Hamill is an actor.
Right.
Mark Hamill, it should not be just because he was the original actor for Luke Skywalker. He should not be a sage. Like, we can't assume that Mark Hamill knows what he's talking about creatively in the direction and production of these movies just because he played Luke Skywalker 40 years ago.
I do hear that.
Mark Hamill's a weird dude.
He should have some insight though into the character that he embodied.
I just have a feeling that if we let Mark Hamill like make all the decisions, I don't think people realize how weird it would have been. Like if you let Mark Hamill just do whatever he wanted to do, it would have. He's a weird guy.
But even watching The Last Jedi now, like all the Kylo and Rey stuff with kind of Luke in the center there, and they're kind of, good versus evil. It's interesting, but like I realized watching it, none of it. Like he never really felt like Luke to me. He definitely 100%. He said, he's like, I felt like I was playing Jake Skywalker. He's like, this never felt like Luke to me. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like this.
I heard someone say, who's the guy that plays Starkiller in the Force Unleashed?
Oh,
you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes. So he voices Darth Maul.
He voices Darth Maul. If you want to look up somebody who like gets Star Wars, and has some of the most insightful Star Wars commentary, this guy is a massive Star Wars nerd who also happens to be an actor, in the Star Wars universe. So like if you most actors in like our nerd films that we love, most of the actors have no idea. They're not real fans. They're just doing a job. This is one of those rare dudes.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Harrison Ford. Screw him. Like this guy he gets it. And I heard him say, he was saying like, you can't hate on people for what they like or hate with any Star Wars movie. Yeah. He goes, if you're hating on people for movies that they like as a Star Wars fan, you shouldn't be a Star Wars fan. Yeah. He goes, that being said, he goes, in The Last Jedi, although I find parts of that movie amazing and I really respect Rian Johnson, he goes, the Luke Skywalker that redeemed Darth Vader would never try to murder Ben Solo.
Right.
And I was like, that's the insight right there.
That's it right there. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long tangent.
No, then I mean that makes sense. All right, Justice, give us a cringe. What makes you cringe? We definitely haven't covered everything that's cringeworthy.
No, that's for sure. I think when Leia uses the Force.
Ooh, how do we overlook it?
I thought that was actually a really nice salute to her actually being dead.
Yeah.
And like, okay, she passed away. And like, that's awesome. And then she
flies back in. Yep.
I was like, oh, it was a lost moment on my. I think they.
I feel like
they there.
And it was like right at the beginning, close, and so like I think that turned people off pretty quickly watching that.
I legitimately had the same thought. I remember watching it in theaters, and she dies. She goes out into space, and I go, "That's a good way. That's a good way to like honor her, kind of give."
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. And then she comes back, and I was like, "What is happening?" I feel like the writers realized their mistake because Luke and Leia are built up as this like these two Force greats, and you never see Leia use the Force, like unless the Force like gives you wisdom that we're not aware of, right? Which is potentially a thing, but I think that they were like, oh crap, like Carrie Fisher's gone and we've never had her use the Force. Like she training.
Force saved everybody though. Yeah. And they could have still let her die and she used the Force to keep him safe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of way better ways to.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No,
yeah.
absolutely. I agree.
100%.
But
The thing that
as we have talked about, I think they sat down in some writing meetings and just forgot to give good ideas.
The thing, so I'm 100% in agreement. That was rough. The thing that I hear from people about the sequels that I dislike is when people just say, when the argument is Leia shouldn't be able to use the Force. And
Who
I hear
said
people
that?
say that a lot.
Who says that? That's
Just
ridiculous.
Many people that are like, well,
Stupid
Leia
people.
shouldn't be that strong in the Force. Like, well, you have to remember in Empire, Darth Vader says we should recruit Luke. And it's Emperor Sidious who says, no, there's another who's just as powerful.
Right.
So like we have this canon that Leia should actually be a powerful Jedi.
Absolutely.
But we don't see it develop in the way that she did it in that scene is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch. It's weird.
It's right.
It's weird. It's really weird.
It's real weird.
Rankings. We're going to jump into rankings.
then-
Doing
Justice,
numbers. Here we go.
Yeah.
tell us your
Go ahead.
age.
That way you can hear Jesse if he talks to you.
We go, tell us your age, and then best, are we going best to worst?
Yeah.
Best to worst.
That's the worst. My age, I'm 27, born
Okay.
1996.
Okay.
So I'm a cusper. I was telling Darius about this. I'm not quite a millennial or a Gen Zer. I don't
Yeah.
really fit in either.
You're an enigma.
Not that I don't want to be identified with either. I choose millennials easily.
Ooh.
Yeah. And this list will let us know where.
Yes.
Yeah. If you
Will let us know where you are. All right.
Yeah. We'll tell you now.
All right. I would say I'm going to go numbers so I can go quick here.
Yep.
I would say episode 4 is for A New Hope is going to be always the classic. I remember seeing that for the first time and just thinking it was just such a cool world.
That's insane.
Episode 3, like I said, it's not for being a good movie. Simply the nostalgia of having a Darth Vader poster that says, "Who's your daddy?"
Ben is smiling
Beautiful.
so huge.
Beautiful.
Right
Seeing that with my dad in theaters, and it's literally just the memory of that.
Yeah.
Then I would go episode 6, episode 5, episode 1. Phantom Menace is still up there for
Let's
me.
go,
more than
baby.
any of the new 2, and then I would go 7, 9, 8.
7, 9, 8.
Bottom 3, baby.
Yep.
So that's-
okay.
That's my list. I don't know if I made it in your guys's as a millennial. I don't know if I'm accepted.
I would accept you.
I think that that's a fairly millennial list.
And I reject you.
yeah.
Jim,
yeah.
You can't be with Ben and the Gen Zs anyway, so you're gonna have to come with us.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're
Beautiful.
tremendous.
All right, Justice. Thanks so much for joining us today, man.
I'll see you tonight.
I also think that the silver stormtrooper could have been something way cooler.
Oh.
That was the trailer looked incredible, and then you're like, oh, they beat her.
That's it. They just-
Yeah.
super easy. Not hard at all.
So much so that I actually really kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow, Finn, that
Until
was
you just
amazing.
mentioned it.
I mean, honestly, it wasn't that hard. No, Finn, you did a great job. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never fought with my hands before, ever.
I was just kind of winging it.
I don't know how Phasma must be a Nepo baby because she definitely did not deserve to be a captain.
That's it. Thank you guys. I appreciate you letting me hop
All
on
right.
this.
Justice, we will make jokes about you behind your back when you leave.
I would expect nothing else.
Yeah, perfect.
It's true love.
Beautiful.
Be nice in person, and then once they leave, wow.
That's what we're all about here. All right, see you, man. All right. I think that is a fairly millennial list.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I respect it.
I've got 6 years on him, so
6 years? Wow. Jesse, you're so old. Anyways, that's going to be it for this week. Come back next week. We rank our Star Wars movies. And I'm going to be honest, it got pretty heated. And you're going to want to come back and listen to that. Thanks, guys.